It was 7 o'clock of a very warm evening in the Seone Hills when Father Wolf woke up from his day's rest, scratched himself, yawned, and spread out his paws one after the other to get rid of the sleepy feeling in the tips. Mother Wolf lay with her big grey nose dropped across her 4 tumbling, squealing cubs, and the moon shone into the mouth of the cave where they all lived. "Ah," said Father Wolf, "it is time to hunt again." And he was going to spring downhill when a little shadow with a bushy tail crossed the threshold and whined, "Good luck go with you, O Chief of the Wolves, and good luck and strong white teeth go with the noble children, that they may never forget the hungry in this world." It was the jackal, Tabaki, the dish licker. And the wolves of India despise Tabaki because he runs about, making mischief, telling tales, and eating rags and pieces of leather from the village rubbish heaps. Shere Khan, the big one, has shifted his hunting grounds. He will hunt among these hills during the next moon, so he has told me. Shere Khan was the tiger who lived near the Waingunga River, 20 miles away. Father Wolf listened, and in the dark valley that ran down to a little river, he heard the dry, angry, snarly, sing-song whine of a tiger who has caught nothing and does not care if all the jungle knows it. "The fool," said Father Wolf, "to begin a night's work with that noise. Does he think that our buck like his fat Waingunga bullocks?" "Shh! 'Tis neither bullock nor buck that he hunts tonight," said Mother Wolf. "It is man." The whine had changed to a sort of humming purr that seemed to roll from every quarter of the compass. It was the noise that bewilders woodcutters and gypsies sleeping in the open and makes them run sometimes into the very mouth of the tiger. "Man," said Father Wolf, showing all his white teeth. "Pah! Are there not enough beetles and frogs in the tanks that he must eat man, and on our ground too?" "Something is coming uphill," said Mother Wolf, twitching one ear. "Get ready." The bushes rustled a little in the thicket, and Father Wolf dropped with his haunches under him, ready for his leap. Then, if you'd been watching, you would have seen the most wonderful thing in the world. The wolf checked in mid-spring. He made his bound before he saw what it was that he was jumping at, and then he tried to stop himself. The result was that he shot up straight into the air for 4 or 5 feet, landing almost where he left ground. "Man," he snapped. "A man's cub. Look!" Directly in front of him, holding on by a low branch, stood a small, naked, brown baby who could just walk. As soft and as dimpled a little thing as ever came to a wolf's cave at night. And he looked up into Father Wolf's face and laughed. "Is that a man's cub?" said Mother Wolf. "I've never seen one. Bring it here." A wolf accustomed to moving his own cubs can, if necessary, mouth an egg without breaking it. And though Father Wolf's jaws closed right on the child's back, not a tooth even scratched the skin as he laid it down among the cubs. How little, how naked, and how bold," said Mother Wolf softly. "Aye, he is taking his meal with the others. And so this is a man's cub. Now, was there ever a wolf that could boast of a man's cub among her children? I've heard now and again of such a thing, but never in our pack or in my time," said Father Wolf. "He is altogether without hair, and I could kill him with a touch of my foot, but see, he looks up and is not afraid." The moonlight was blocked out of the mouth of the cave, for Shere Khan's great square head and shoulders were thrust into the entrance. Tabaki behind him was squeaking, my lord, it went in there." "Shere Khan does us great honor," said Father Wolf, but his eyes were very angry. "What does Shere Khan need?" "My quarry. A man's cub went this way," said Shere Khan. "Its parents have run off. Give it to me." "The wolves are a free people," said Father Wolf. "They take orders from the head of the pack and not for any striped cattle killer. The cub man is ours to kill if we choose." "Ye choose and ye do not choose? What talk is this of choosing? By the bull that I killed, am I to stand nosing into your dog's den for my fair dues? This is I, Shere Khan, who speak." The tiger's roar filled the cave with thunder. Mother Wolf shook herself clear of the cubs and sprang forward, her eyes like two green moons in the darkness, facing the blazing eyes of Shere Khan. "And it is I, Ruksa, the demon, who answer. The man's cub is mine, Lungri, mine to me. He shall not be killed. He shall live to run with the pack and to hunt with the pack. And in the end, look you, hunter of little naked cubs, frog-eater, fish-eater, shall hunt thee. Now get thee hence, or by the Samba that I killed, I eat no starved cattle. Back thou goest to thy mother, burned beast of the jungle, lamer than ever thou camest into the world. Go!" Father Wolf looked on amazed. He'd almost forgotten the days when he won Mother Wolf in fair fight from 5 other wolves, when she ran in the pack and was not called the demon for compliment's sake. Shere Khan might have faced Father Wolf, but he couldn't stand up against Mother Wolf, for he knew that where he was, she had all the advantage of the ground and would fight to the death. So he backed out of the cave mouth, growling. And when he was clear, he shouted, "Every dog barks in his own yard. We'll see what the pack will say to this fostering of man-cubs. The cub is mine, and to my teeth he will come in the end, O bush-tail thieves." Mother Wolf threw herself down, panting among the cubs, and Father Wolf said to her gravely, "Shere Khan speaks this much truth. The cub must be shown to the pack. Wilt thou still keep him, Mother?" "Keep him," she gasped. "He came naked by night, alone and very hungry, and yet he was not afraid. Look, he has pushed one of my babes to one side already, and that lame butcher would have killed him and would have run off to the Waingunga while the villagers here hunted through all our lairs in revenge. Keep him. Assuredly I will keep him. Lie still, little frog, O thou Mowgli. For Mowgli the frog I will call thee. The time will come when thou wilt hunt Shere Khan as he has hunted thee." "But what will our pack say?" said Father Wolf. "The law of the jungle lays down very clearly that any wolf may, when he marries, withdraw from the pack he belongs to, but as soon as his cubs are old enough to stand on their feet, he must bring them to the pack council, which is generally held once a month at full moon, in order that the other wolves may identify them." Father Wolf waited till his cubs could run a little, and then on the night of the pack meeting took them and Mowgli and Mother Wolf to the council rock, a hilltop covered with stones and boulders where 100 wolves could hide. Akela, the great grey lone wolf, who led all the pack by strength and cunning, lay out at full length on his rock, and below him sat 40 or more wolves of every size and colour, from badger-coloured veterans who could handle a buck alone to young black 3-year-olds who thought they could. And Akela from his rock would cry, "Ye know the law, ye know the law. Look well, O wolves." At last, and Mother Wolf's neck whistles lifted as the time came, Father Wolf pushed Mowgli the frog, as they called him, into the center. where he sat laughing and playing with some pebbles that glistened in the moonlight. Arkela never raised his head from his paws, but went on with the monotonous cry, "Look well, look well." A muffled roar came up from behind the rocks, the voice of Shere Khan crying, "The cub is mine, give him to me. What have the free people to do with a man's cub?" Arkela never even twitched his ears. All he said was, "Look well, O wolves. What have the free people to do with the orders of any save the free people? Look well." There was a chorus of deep growls, and a young wolf in his 4th year flung back Shere Khan's question to Arkela. "What have the free people to do with a man's cub?" Now the law of the jungle lays down that if there is any dispute as to the right of a cub to be accepted by the pack, he must be spoken for by at least 2 members of the pack who are not his father and mother. "Who speaks for this cub?" said Arkela among the free people. "Who speaks?" There was no answer, and Mother Wolf got ready for what she knew would be her last fight, if things came to fighting. Then the only other creature who was allowed at the pack council, Balu, the sleepy brown bear who teaches the wolf cubs the law of the jungle. Old Balu, who can come and go where he pleases because he only eats nuts and roots and honey, rose up on his hind quarters and grunted, "The man's cub, the man's cub," he said. "I speak for the man's cub. There is no harm in a man's cub. I have no gift of words, but I speak the truth. Let him run with the pack and be entered with the others. I myself will teach him." "We need yet another," said Arkela. "Balu has spoken, and he is our teacher for the young cubs. Who speaks besides Balu?" A black shadow dropped down into the circle. It was Bagheera, the black panther, inky black all over, but with the panther markings showing up in certain lights like the pattern of watered silk. Everybody knew Bagheera, and nobody cared to cross his path, for he was as cunning as Tabaki, as bold as the wild buffalo, and as reckless as a wounded elephant. But he had a voice as soft as wild honey dripping from a tree, and a skin softer than down. "O Arkela, and ye the free people," he purred, "to kill a naked cub is shame. Besides, he may make far better sport for you when he is grown. Balu has spoken in his behalf. And now, to Balu's word, I will add 1 bull and a fat one, newly killed not half a mile from here, if he will accept the man's cub according to the law. Is it difficult?" There was a clamor of a score of voices saying, "What matter? He'll die in the winter rains. He'll scorch in the sun. What harm can a naked frog do us? Let him run with the pack. Where is the bull, Bagheera? Let him be accepted." And then came Arkela's deep bay crying, look well, O wolves." And that is how Mowgli was entered into the Seoni wolf pack for the price of a bull and on Balu's good word. Now, you must be content to skip 10 or 11 whole years and only guess at all the wonderful life that Mowgli led among the wolves, because if it were written out, it would fill ever so many books. He grew up with the cubs, though they, of course, were grown wolves almost before he was a child. And Father Wolf taught him his business and the meaning of things in the jungle, till every rustle in the grass, every breath of the warm night air, every note of the owls above his head, every scratch of a bat's claws as it roosted for a while in a tree, and every splash of every little fish jumping in a pool meant just as much to him as the work of his office means to a businessman. And he grew, and grew strong as a boy must grow who doesn't know that he's learning any lessons, and who has nothing in the world to think of except things to eat. It was one very warm day that a new notion came to Bagheera, born of something that he had heard. Perhaps Iki the porcupine had told him. But he said to Mowgli when they were deep in the jungle, as the boy lay with his head on Bagheera's beautiful black skin, "Little brother, how often have I told thee that Shere Khan is thy enemy?" "Oh, as many times as there are nuts on that palm," said Mowgli, who naturally could not count. "What of it? I'm sleepy, Bagheera, and Shere Khan is all long tail and loud talk like Mao the peacock." "Open those eyes, little brother. Shere Khan dares not kill thee in the jungle for fear of those that love thee. But remember, our Kala is very old, and soon the day comes when he cannot kill his buck, and then he will be leader no more. Many of the wolves that looked thee over when thou wast brought to the council first are old too, and the young cubs believe, as Shere Khan has taught them, that a man cub has no place with the pack. They hate thee because their eyes cannot meet thine, because thou art wise, because thou hast pulled out thorns from their feet, because thou art a man. It is in my heart that when our Kala misses his next kill, and at each hunt it costs him more to pin the buck, the pack will turn against him and against thee. They will hold a jungle council at the rock, and then, "I have it," said Bagheera, leaping up. "Go thou down quickly to the men's huts in the valley and take some of the red flower which they grow there, so that when the time comes, thou mayest have even a stronger friend than I or Balu or those of the pack that love thee. Get the red flower." By red flower, Bagheera meant fire. Only no creature in the jungle will call fire by its proper name. Every beast lives in deadly fear of it and invents 100 ways of describing it. "The red flower," said Mowgli, "that grows outside their huts in the twilight? I will get some." "There speaks the man's cub," said Bagheera proudly. Mowgli was far and far through the forest, running hard, and his heart was hot in him. And when the morning came and the mists were all white and cold, halfway up the hill he met Bagheera with the morning dew shining like moonstones on his coat. "Our Kala has missed," said the panther. "They would have killed him last night, but they needed thee also. They were looking for thee on the hill." "I was among the ploughed lands. I am ready. Look!" Mowgli held up the firepot. "Good. Now, I have seen men thrust a dry branch into that stuff, and presently the red flower blossomed at the end of it. All that day Mowgli sat in the cave tending his firepot and dipping dry branches into it to see how they looked. He found a branch that satisfied him, and in the evening, when Tabaki came to the cave and told him rudely enough that he was wanted at the council rock, he laughed till Tabaki ran away. Then Mowgli went to the council, still laughing. Akela the lone wolf sat by the side of his rock as a sign that the leadership of the pack was open, and Shere Khan with his following of scrap-fed wolves walked to and fro openly, being flattered. Bagheera lay close to Mowgli, and the firepot was between Mowgli's knees. When they were all gathered together, Shere Khan began to speak, a thing he would never have dared to do when Akela was in his prime. "He has no right," whispered Bagheera. "Say so. He is a dog's son. He will be frightened." Mowgli sprang to his feet. "Free people," he cried. "Does Shere Khan lead the pack? What has a tiger to do with our leadership?" "Seeing that the leadership is yet open and being asked to speak," Shere Khan began. "By whom?" said Mowgli. "Are we all jackals to fall on this cattle butcher? The leadership of the pack is with the pack alone." There were yells of, "Silence, thou man's cub, let him speak, he has kept our law." And at last the seniors of the pack thundered, "Let the dead wolf speak." When the leader of the pack has missed his kill, he is called the dead wolf as long as he lives, which is not long as a rule. Then Shere Khan roared, "Bah, what have we to do with this toothless fool? He is doomed to die. It is the man-cub who has lived too long. Free people, he was my meat from the first. Give him to me, for I am weary of this man-wolf folly. He has troubled the jungle for 10 seasons. Give me the man-cub, or I will hunt here always and not give you one bone. He is a man, a man's child, and from the marrow of my bones I hate him." "He is a man, a man, a man," snarled the pack. And most of the wolves began to gather round Shere Khan, whose tail was beginning to switch. "Now the business is in thy hands," said Bagheera to Mowgli. "We can do no more except fight." Mowgli stood upright, the fire pot in his hands. Then he stretched out his arms and yawned in the face of the council. But he was furious with rage and sorrow, for wolf-like, the wolves had never told him how they hated him. "Listen, you," he cried, "there is no need for this dog's jabber. Ye have told me so often tonight that I am a man, although indeed I would have been a wolf with you to my life's end, that I feel your words are true. So I do not call ye my brothers any more, but sag, dogs, as a man should. What ye will do and what ye will not do is not yours to say. That matter is with me. And that we may see the matter a little more plainly, I, the man, have brought here a little of the red flower which ye, dogs, fear." He flung the fire pot on the ground, and some of the red coals lit a tuft of dried moss that flared up as all the council drew back in terror before the leaping flames. Mowgli thrust his dead branch into the fire till the twigs lit and crackled and whirled it above his head among the cowering wolves. "Thou art the master," said Bagheera in an undertone. "Save our Kala from the death. He was ever thy friend." Our Kala, the grim old wolf who had never asked for mercy in his life, gave one piteous look at Mowgli as the boy stood all naked, his long black hair tossing over his shoulders in the light of the blazing branch that made the shadows jump and quiver. "Good," said Mowgli, staring around slowly and thrusting out his lower lip. "I see that ye are dogs. I go from you to my own people, if they be my own people. The jungle is shut to me, and I must forget your talk and your companionship, but I will be more merciful than ye are. Because I was all but your brother in blood, I promise that when I am a man among men, I will not betray ye to men as ye have betrayed me. But remember, when next I come to the Council Rock, as a man should come, it will be with Shere Khan's hide on my head. For the rest, our Kala goes free to live as he pleases. Ye will not kill him, because that is not my will. Nor do I think that ye will sit here any longer, lolling out your tongues as though ye were somebodies, instead of dogs whom I drive out thus. Go!" The fire was burning furiously at the end of the branch, and Mowgli struck right and left round the circle, and the wolves ran howling with the sparks burning their fur. At last there were only our Kala, Bagheera, and perhaps 10 wolves that had taken Mowgli's part. Then something began to hurt Mowgli inside him, as he had never been hurt in his life before, and he caught his breath and sobbed, and the tears ran down his face. "What is it? What is it?" he said. "I do not wish to leave the jungle, and I do not know what this is. Am I dying, Bagheera?" "No, little brother. Those are only tears such as men use," said Bagheera. Now I know thou art a man, and a man's cub no longer. The jungle is shut indeed to thee henceforward. Let them fall, Mowgli. They are only tears. So Mowgli sat and cried as though his heart would break, and he'd never cried in all his life before. Now, he said, now I will go to men, but first I must say farewell to my mother. And he went to the cave where she lived with Father Wolf, and he cried on her coat while the 4 cubs howled miserably. You will not forget me, said Mowgli. Never while we can follow a trail, said the cubs. Come to the foot of the hill when thou art a man, and we will talk to thee, and we will come into the croplands to play with thee by night. Come soon, said Father Wolf. O wise little frog, come soon again, for we be old, thy mother and I. Come soon, said Mother Wolf, little naked son of mine, for listen, child of man, I loved thee more than I ever loved my cubs. I will surely come, said Mowgli, and when I come, it will be to lay Shere Khan's hide upon the council rock. Do not forget me. Tell them in the jungle never to forget me. The dawn was beginning to break when Mowgli went down the hillside alone to the crops to meet those mysterious things that are called men.